You have Wagner in Burkina Faso. You have Wagner in Guinea. You have Wagner in Mali. Okay? The last time I checked, Wagner was also moving into Niger. They're going to wage war against these countries. They're going to confront Wagner. Are you going to break back? Are you going to stage a scenario for Ukraine war in West Africa? Are you mad? And then you sit there and you make noises about protecting democracy. Whose democracy? Whose democracy are you protecting? The democracy of the masses? Or the democracy of the very, very few, the tiny few, who have managed to take us hostage through fraudulent elections? Is that what they're talking about? Look, these West African leaders must understand in clear terms that any attempt to wage war on Niger will be resisted by the masses of West Africa. It will be resisted by the masses of West Africa. Already there are indications. Burkina, Guinea, and Mali have said that any attack on Niger will be considered as an attack on them, an aggression against them, and they're going to fight. You see, these West African leaders, I think their thinking capacity is too small. Listen, you have Wagner in Burkina Faso, you have Wagner in Guinea, you have Wagner in Mali, okay? The last time I checked, Wagner was also moving into Niger. They're going to wage war against these countries. They're going to confront Wagner. Are you going to break back? Are you going to stage a scenario for Ukraine war in West Africa? Are you mad? Are these leaders crazy? I can't believe it. In any case, where is their capacity to wage war? They are doing all this in the false belief that because it is in the Western interest to fight the new regime in Niger, they are going to get support from the West, from France and others, to fight the new regime. That is their crazy idea. All these West African leaders have been sitting down. They have been complicit in the establishment of foreign military bases throughout West Africa. One of the reasons why Niger is so strategic to the West is that the U.S., its largest drone base in the world, is in Niger. Its largest drone base. West African leaders didn't see anything wrong with this. Why would the U.S. Army establish a drone base in a country? For what purpose? The drone base was established to produce chocolates or to produce cotton. Certainly for war. They didn't care about it. They allowed the United States of America to establish the largest drone base in the world in Niger. Unbelievable. The Ghana government is also part of this so-called attempt to go and wage war. You have allowed the U.S. to establish a military base in your country. You understand? Now, U.S. soldiers in Ghana have more privileges than privileges prescribed by the Geneva Convention for diplomats. Your sovereignty is completely abused. The French have military bases everywhere and so on. We are not thinking about expelling these military bases from our soil, but we want to go and fight an African government, overthrow it, so that the French can continue to have access to uranium, to power their country and so on. These West African leaders, I don't know how to describe them. I mean, to call them reckless is an understatement. They are actually crazy. They should start the war and see what will happen in the region. If it doesn't deliver what the people want, forget it. It is not democracy. Democracy, if you practice it, must lead to improving the people's access to social services, education, health, housing, employment, and so on. Which West African country is doing that? Democracy is about doing the will of the people. Which West African country is doing the will of the people? And then the joke of it all is the statement which has been issued by government. What is the difference between a coup d'etat and what we have in West Africa now? The 9 people who lost their lives during the last elections, it was supposed to be in a civilian democratic order. They lost their lives. Loss of life, whether it's under a coup d'etat or in the civilian regime, is the same. Look at Daya. You understand what I'm saying? The people who were molested, who were shot and so on, at Ayawaso West Wagon, doesn't matter to them whether what happened to them, the atrocities committed against them, happened under coup regimes or under civilian regimes. It doesn't matter to them. The economic condition is driving people crazy. You have Tinubu, who has won a disputed election. The matter is in court, it has not been finished. West African leaders meet and make him their chairman. And they say that they are committed to democracy. These crazy leaders we have in West Africa. They go and make Tinubu, they are not even patient enough to wait for the outcome of the petition before the court. They go and make him their chairman. And then they turn around and tell us that, oh, as for them, they love democracy. What kind of democracy do they love? In any case, who is going to benefit from military intervention in Niger? It's the West. If you take France, 1 out of every 3 light bulbs is powered by uranium from Niger. 1 out of every 3 light bulbs is powered by uranium from Niger. And yet, Niger is one of the poorest countries in the world. And our leaders are not thinking about this paradox. You understand? What they care about is going to install one of their colleagues who messed up so much. You understand? That's what they care about. If you take all of the French-speaking African states, all of them keep their foreign reserves in the Central Bank of France. The consequence is that these African countries borrow their own money and pay interest on their own money that they have borrowed. And West African leaders are not sensible enough to realize that the way out of this is to have a common currency for West Africa, which enables these French-speaking countries to break away from French neocolonialism. They are not even sensible to realize that that is the key to solving many of the economic problems which confront us in the sub-region. They can't see that. We've been talking about a West African currency for how long? What have they done in order to promote that? And then they go and sit somewhere in Abuja and they decide that they are going to send soldiers. Whose children should go and die? To install a useless president. Whose children should go and die? You think that the soldiers, they are just there to die for any useless cause? They are not. They should try it. They should try it and send soldiers there. When the soldiers get killed, they will see the repercussions in their own countries. It has happened many times, the ripple effect. Why? All of these West African leaders who are meeting to make these declarations and so on, how many of them enjoy the popularity that these coup leaders enjoy? This young guy who recently returned from the Russia-Africa summit, you saw how the whole country mobilized to go and meet him at the airport. Let any of these West African leaders, Tinubu, Alassane Ouattara and so on, try to mobilize people to show support and see how many people will turn out. When ECOWAS sent a delegation to Mali to go and persuade the Malians to hand over, did they see the hundreds of thousands of people who poured out into the street in support of their regimes? Did they see it? How many of these West African leaders enjoy 10% of the popularity that these coup leaders enjoy? That must teach them a lesson. In any case, what is this democracy we are supposed to be protecting? What is this democracy we are supposed to be protecting? Who doesn't know that in West Africa, elections do not reflect the will of the people? Elections have become a joke. Vote buying is rampant. The use of violence in order to win elections is overwhelming. The things we do in West Africa, are these the democratic elections? They should stop wasting our time. What we do in West Africa is that the last election, how many people died? Nobody has even bothered to investigate how those people died. And they call this democracy. Ayawaso West Wagon. I met the victims of the Ayawaso West Wagon. Some have lost their legs. Some have lost their eyes. Some have been disabled for life. Not one person has been punished for what happened in the Ayawaso West Wagon. And then you turn around and say we are running a democracy. What democracy? My brother, democracy, whatever it means, must deliver what the people want. If it doesn't deliver what the people want, forget it. It is not democracy.
This unit is set up to defend them and to protect them only, nobody else. What is more coup d'etat than your national constitution give you 2-term limit, 5 years, 2 terms? After serving 10 years, you want to change the constitution for another term. Is that not a coup d'etat? Because you feel you have the powers to do that. The soldiers have the powers to coup d'etat. That is also another coup d'etat. And they are living with them there. They are there. In the name of civilian, putting on mufti clothes, calling yourself a Democrat, when you loot all the resources of your country, mislead people, torture them, imprison them, burn their businesses to us, and you call that a democracy? Or a civilian rule and an illegally elected government? The leaders must stop lying to their electorate first. They must stop the corruption. They must stop looting our resources. They must understand that they are not a better citizen than anybody. They are given a responsibility, a role to play to help develop the countries and make sure that there is peace and tranquility and respect the constitution of the country. But this is not happening. Example is this government. This government has lied to people in 2016 that they are going only for 3 years. Was that not a lie? Who asked them to tell people that we are going for 3 years? Were they forced to say that? They went around the whole country, lied to everyone. When the people started reminding them, this is what you promised us, they threw tear gas on them. And the president is bragging, yes, when I threw tear gas in them, they never came back. Does that not anger the citizens? You throw tear gas on your people. Some of them are wounded and you stand out there and bragging that I throw them a tear gas. They never come back. That alone can anger the citizens. You promised the people you will have a security sector reform. It's never happening. The civil service sector reform is never happening. The Jani Commission was violated before the end of the commission. When you take all the assets of the former president, and now you are busy buying assets, your days are coming. I thought they should have learned, or they could have learned from this. Unfortunately, they are not learning. So before you create a unit to go against any attempt of coup d'etat, put your house in order, stop lying to your electorate, stop lying to your citizens, stop looting the resources of your country, stop corruption in your country. And then you can talk about anti-coup d'etat. When Alpha Condé was killing his people in Guinea, after serving 10 years, he said it was not enough. I want to serve another term. During the process, so many Guineans were killed. And I did not hear any ECOWAS going there or condemning him. You know why? Because Guinea was too big for them, or Alpha was dancing to their tune. Because I think that was why the small Gambia was surrounded all sides by soldiers and guns in 2016. Because Gambia was small, or Gambia is a small country, and Jammeh was not dancing to their tune. After the presidential election in Guinea, more than 300 Guineans were butchered, killed. No ECOWAS condemned him. No African Union condemned him. Instead, they pick up their phones and say, Monsieur le Président, félicitations, congratulations. That is the fair game that is happening in Africa. They can condemn Mali, they can condemn Guinea, they are soldiers. But the one in Chad